When Willow broke up with me, I cried so hard that snot literally ran into my mouth. She looked at me with a face full of disgust and asked contemptuously, "What? Do you love me that much? Like you can't live without me?" I nodded pitifully. She sighed helplessly, shook her head with a bitter smile, casually took out her phone, and transferred me 10 million as breakup compensation. That's too much bullying. I covered my mouth and ran away sadly, like a sissy. Everyone in the private room sighed for me. They all thought I must have loved Willow desperately and couldn't live without her. After all, I had spent 3 whole weeks acting like a devoted simp for her, until the day my Instagram post went public. On Instagram it clearly read, "Cold as a dead fish, stubborn as a mule. Willow is a complete stupid. Finally broke up. Ha ha ha, long live the breakup." Willow crushed the wine glass in her hand. Her delicate white palm was instantly torn open, blood dripping everywhere. Even with her hand injured like that, it didn't stop her from sending me a message. "George, you're good. I'll give you another 10 million, but make sure I never find you." Chapter 1. The day marked exactly 3 weeks of our relationship. Willow sent me a breakup text. As soon as I received the message, I jumped up immediately and, unwilling to accept it, rushed to the bar to demand why she wanted to break up with me. In the bar's private room, right in front of Willow's friends, I grabbed Willow's hand without any dignity, dropped to one knee, and asked with a trembling, tearful voice, "My dear wife, do you really want to break up?" Leaning lazily against the sofa, Willow spoke in a cold tone. "Yeah, we're breaking up." I completely lost it and begged softly, "Can we not break up? Honey, what did I do wrong? Just tell me, I'll change, okay?" I was as humble as a stray dog, crying so hard I could barely breathe. Willow frowned at me, irritation and confusion flickering in her eyes. "George, do you really love me that much? We've only been dating for 3 weeks." With tears and snot everywhere, I nodded and said while crying, "Wife, I love you so much." Her brows knitted even tighter, her soft pink lips pressed into a thin straight line. After a long silence, my phone suddenly chimed. A notification appeared. 10 million had been transferred to my account. Willow turned her face away and said coldly, "Get lost. George, this is compensation. Remember, don't ever come bothering me again." Hearing her icy words, my face turned pale, my body swayed as I forced out, "All right, as you wish." After saying that, tears rolled down my face, covering my mouth. I turned around under the pitying gazes of her friends and ran off crying like a sissy. One of her friends finally couldn't hold back and asked, "Willow, you're just throwing money at George like that? That's a naked humiliation to a man. And he looked so miserable. You shouldn't be that cruel." Looking at my retreating figure, Willow hesitated and asked, "What, should I go bring him back?" The moment I heard that, I didn't dare keep acting like a fragile crybaby anymore. I bolted and ran as fast as I could. The midnight streets were empty and cold. No pedestrians in sight, only an occasional car passing by. I squatted under a dim yellow streetlight, wearing a melancholy expression. Beside me, the dog-like system stuck out its tongue and comforted me. "Host, don't be sad. Our mission is already complete." I lowered my head and gently touched the fresh wound on my left hand. I had gotten it a few days ago when I accidentally fell while delivering breakfast to Willow. A thin scab had already formed over it. I asked, "System, do you also think I'm actually heartbroken?" The system wagged its tail and asked in disbelief, "George, don't tell me you were acting. With acting like that, you could win Best Actor." I laughed, stood up, stretched my body, and lazily said, "Of course I was acting. What else?" The dog system fell completely speechless. In my original world, I had been a miserable corporate grunt who worked himself to death. After I died from overwork, the system took pity on me and brought me into this brand new world. The system told me that as long as I successfully conquered a top-tier, exceptional woman in this world and maintained a romantic relationship with her for at least 3 weeks, I could be revived in my original world. Of course I'd do it. Once a corporate workhorse, always a corporate workhorse. I still have to go back to my original world and keep working. Chapter 2. The system looked at me with disdain. It couldn't understand how a corporate workhorse like me could still live with so much enthusiasm. But it still kept its promise and helped me choose a target to conquer. Willow Liu, the heiress and CEO of the Liu Group. Beautiful, extremely wealthy, and cold-hearted by nature. Conquest difficulty, 5 stars. Looking at the beauty in the photo, I gritted my teeth and began my mission. As an overworked office drone, I had no idea how to date, but I did know how to be a simp. That part was my specialty. So I started creating coincidental encounters, pestering her relentlessly, acting deeply devoted, presenting my heart to Willow without reservation and letting her treat it however she wanted. Even the system thought I had fallen for her for real, that I loved her to death. But Miss Willow was truly cold and distant. From beginning to end, she remained completely unmoved. Then one day, while I was delivering breakfast to her, she suddenly spoke to me for the first time. "You like me?" I froze for a moment, then nodded desperately. Willow sneered. From today on, you're my boyfriend. The sudden happiness hit me so hard I almost fainted. When I happily tried to take her hand, she coldly snapped. Get lost. Fine, I've got dignity. If you want me to get lost, then I'll get lost. From that day on, I became Willow's boyfriend, driving her to and from work every day. To put it simply, our entire relationship existed only because I kept chasing after her like an eager simp. But now none of that mattered anymore. I took out my phone and stared at the long string of zeros in my bank account. My heart felt wonderful. As expected of a corporate CEO, when she spends money, she really spends it. A true big shot. I had practically licked my pride away being a simp for her. If I hadn't gotten a single cent, that would have been heartbreaking. Willow really was generous, considerate of how hard life is for poor people like us. Curious, I asked the system, can I take this money back to my original world? The system said money from this world must be spent in this world, not a single cent could be taken home. Alright then, since I can't take it with me, I might as well spend it. After being a broke nobody for 2 lifetimes, I can finally live large for once. The system told me to wait 2 days and not rush. It would go submit the mission for verification, and once it was approved, I could return to my original world. Fine, you do your work, I'll do mine. Time to burn through some cash. I started spending wildly, renting luxury cars and huge mansions. After all, I couldn't take any of it with me. Buying things would just be a loss, and once I left, who knew who'd end up benefiting from it? After renting all that, I went to the mall and went on a shopping spree. My life instantly became ridiculously extravagant, pure indulgence and luxury. That night, I dressed up handsome and stylish and went to a nightclub to dance, clutching a thick stack of cash in my hand, surrounded by a crowd of girls. It felt amazing. When had I ever been treated like this before? Just as I walked out of the nightclub restroom, my terrible luck struck. I ran straight into Willow's friend, Maria. I immediately tried to turn and leave, but she had already seen me. George, are you here to see Willow? See her? Hell no. I'm trying to stay as far away from her as possible. Don't talk nonsense, Maria. We've already broken up. Why would I look for her? Without another word, Maria grabbed my arm. Her eyes were full of pity. George, stop pretending. I know you can't let Willow go. Let me tell you, today is the day her childhood friend came back from overseas. We're here to welcome him. If you don't show up, Willow might really run off with someone else. Before I could struggle free, she dragged me straight into a VIP private room. When the door opened and Willow saw me, her small face immediately turned stiff. I looked up and noticed a handsome young man sitting beside her. The man looked down at me arrogantly and asked, "So you're Willow's so-called ex-boyfriend? A pathetic simp who got dumped. Serves you right. You're not worthy of her. I'm warning you, stay away from Willow from now on." After speaking, Makoto shot me a vicious glare, as if he wanted to tear me apart. Fuck you. You think I'm going to tolerate that? Yeah, sure. You're the worthy one. You're the most worthy of all. Life must be boring as hell for a toad to suddenly hop out and start judging humans. Chapter 3. Makoto had clearly never heard insults that brutal before. My words left him completely stunned. After roasting that idiot, I swaggered over and sat down. Who cared whether Willow welcomed me or not? My mission was already complete. Why would I keep indulging her attitude now? I crossed my legs, poured myself a glass of wine, and slowly sipped it. Makoto was about to explode with anger. Suddenly he clutched his chest, putting on a painful expression as if he were about to collapse into Willow's arms. Willow, he insulted me. Willow, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, suddenly stood up. It looked like she was about to stand up for Makoto. Makoto dramatically toppled onto the sofa, failing to fall into Willow's arms as he had planned. Seeing that she had no intention of paying attention to him, he could only awkwardly stand back up. His eyes shifted, and he stepped forward, trying to hook his arm around Willow's. Unfortunately, before he could touch her, Willow suddenly sat down again for some reason, staring straight at me. After a long moment, the cold and aloof Willow finally spoke to me in a calm voice. "George, you've gone too far." The noisy private room suddenly fell silent. I let out a disdainful snort, not taking Willow seriously at all. Seeing how awkward the atmosphere had become, one of her friends tried to smooth things over. "Come on, everyone's friends here. Let's drink." "Makoto, don't provoke him. He's probably just emotional because Willow dumped him." That immediately set Makoto off. "What do you mean I provoked him? He's the one who started bullying me." Looking at Makoto, his face red with anger, I actually found him kind of amusing. He was a grown man, yet acting so delicate and dramatic. Could it be he was using the same strategy one did? Too lazy to deal with that pretentious coquette-type idiot of a guy, I figured I might as well scroll Instagram instead. Seeing me looking down at my phone and ignoring him completely, Makoto wore the kind of constipated expression of someone who had anger but nowhere to vent it. Then something seemed to occur to him. His eyes began darting around as he sneered maliciously. A simp uses Instagram too. What? Does your account record your daily simp routine? Why don't you share it with everyone? My expression stiffened slightly. Not because I was afraid of him, but because my Instagram really couldn't be shared. I forced a smile. I just scroll through Instagram for gossip and entertainment. Seeing that I refused to share it, Makoto became even more relentless. He was convinced my Instagram must be full of humiliating simp content. That would give him the perfect opportunity to embarrass me. With that thought, he leaned over and whispered to someone beside him. A moment later, he looked at me with a malicious grin. Just got your number. Let's see what kind of daily life a simp has. He proudly waved his phone, opened the app, typed in my phone number, and searched, all in one smooth motion. My face instantly turned pale. There was no way for me to stop him. It was his phone. I couldn't exactly grab it and smash it, could I? All I could do was watch helplessly as he opened the profile page of Mouse Loves Big Meow. My heart instantly turned cold. Willow's icy voice suddenly rang out in the private room, carrying a faint note of warning. Stop looking. Close it. At least she had some conscience. Those 3 weeks I spent being a simp for her weren't entirely wasted. But Makoto, that jerk, clearly wanted to humiliate me. Not only did he refuse to close it, he even projected his phone screen onto the giant display in the room. The moment he opened my Instagram, I stood up and walked toward the door. Just before leaving, I deliberately turned back and said to everyone in the room, "The mountains are high and the roads are long. This is where we part ways forever." Then I walked out the door and ran as fast as I could, faster than a dog. Damn it. There was nothing else on my Instagram except posts roasting Willow. Every single entry was full of complaints, sarcasm, and insults about her. Thank goodness I ran fast. If I had been even a little slower, I might have died in that private room tonight. The moment I stepped out, the people inside the room had already fallen into stunned silence as they stared at the giant screen. On it were the posts written clearly. Some sexy mature beauty. What mature? She's clearly just a little miss. So flat, honestly. An A cup is way too small for me. Cold as a dead fish. Stubborn as a mule. Willow is such an idiot. I'm sick of this unresponsive woman. When the hell will we finally break up? Speaking of what kind of woman is the most annoying, it's definitely the kind of woman who has shit in her mouth and doesn't speak because she's afraid of exposing her bad breath. On the surface she's cold and aloof, but deep down she's insecure. Finally broke up. 10 million received. Feels amazing. Didn't expect that idiot to be so generous. Thanks a lot. Chapter 4. In the suffocating silence, Willow faced the gazes of her friends with a cold expression, but the slight trembling of her hand revealed the irritation boiling inside her. A moment later, the wine glass in her hand shattered under her grip. Willow picked up her coat and walked toward the door of the private room. Willow, where are you going? To catch that simp? Makoto smiled brightly. Meanwhile, I clutched my phone, which kept ringing non-stop. I didn't even bother waiting for the elevator. I sprinted all the way back to my luxury apartment. Only after I shut the door behind me did I finally feel safe. When I opened my phone, there were countless missed calls, all from Willow. After realizing I wouldn't answer, Willow finally sent me a message. George, you've really outdone yourself. I'll send you another 10 million. Just don't ever let me catch you. Just reading the message, I could imagine Willow grinding her teeth while typing it. Lying comfortably on the genuine leather sofa, I chuckled to myself. Afraid of you. Once the system finishes submitting the mission, I'm leaving this world. You still think you can catch me? Keep dreaming. I had barely finished laughing when the system finally came online. This damn thing was slow as hell. Hey, big brother. It's been so long. The mission still hasn't been submitted successfully. The dog system wore an expression like it wanted to look at me but didn't dare. I knew that look very well. It was the same expression I used whenever I messed something up and had to face my boss. My heart tightened. I jumped up from the sofa. Don't mess with me. What happened? Just tell me already. The dog system stammered. Well, it's not really a big deal. The network lagged when I tried to submit the mission, so it failed. Haha, you see how unfortunate that is. So, you'll just have to do it again. The damn thing actually had the nerve to laugh. The moment its guilty voice reached my ears, my vision went dark, my body swayed, and I nearly fainted. I had just completely pissed Willow off, and now you're telling me to do it all over again. How exactly am I supposed to do that? Walk straight back to her and deliver myself to death? Just as I was on the verge of a full mental breakdown, the doorbell suddenly rang. My heart nearly stopped. They found me this fast. I looked through the peephole. Just my luck. Willow stood outside the door with a cold expression. She was clearly trying to suppress her anger. Her face looked almost twisted as she shouted, "George, get out here right now." The dog system, trembling with its little paws, lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. Maybe you should jump out the window and run. If you're lucky, you might only end up half crippled. Then Willow could take care of you. And maybe you two could rekindle your relationship. I looked at it with a cheerful smile and slapped the cigarette right out of its mouth. What kind of luck lets someone jump from the 36th floor and only end up half crippled? If I had that kind of luck, would I have died from overwork? Would the network have lagged when submitting the mission? The dog system laughed awkwardly. I regretted everything now. If I had known this would happen, I never would have taken that 10 million. Now I was completely screwed, my whole body trembling. I pressed myself against the door to hold it shut. Are you kidding? If I opened that door, I'd die even faster. My voice trembled as I forced out a desperate laugh toward Willow outside. Haha, whatever. I've got a death wish personality anyway. If you've got the guts, then just kill me. Don't blame me for giving up on struggling. Chapter 5. Willow usually looked careless and emotionless, but in reality she was extremely vindictive, the type who never forgot a grudge. A few minutes later, the door was smashed open by several bodyguards, dust flying everywhere. Willow slowly walked in behind them. The moment I saw her expressionless face, my survival instinct surged as I sat collapsed on the floor. System, do you have any kind of emergency escape service? I asked anxiously, but no response came. That damn system had actually logged off and run away in a hurry. At the most critical moment, it abandoned its own host. Damn dog system. Willow's teeth were clenched so hard they made a grinding sound. Her twisted expression gradually became clear through the dust. Didn't I tell you not to let me catch you? Her cold gaze fell on me, filled with unmistakable killing intent. I knew that if I couldn't get through this situation today, I was dead for sure. Gritting my teeth, I pinched my thigh hard. My eyes instantly turned red. Wife, didn't you realize I was just forcing a smile? I was only pretending to be tough. During this time, how much I loved you, you know that better than anyone. Can't I at least keep a little bit of dignity and talk tough behind your back? Willow's face remained expressionless. She lifted her eyelids slightly and asked, "Is that so?" I lowered my head, tears dripping onto the floor one after another. I stubbornly turned my body sideways, facing away from Willow. My shoulders trembled constantly, like a resilient little poplar tree standing in the wind. Willow glanced at me, then looked around my luxury apartment. Her gaze eventually landed on the pile of luxury goods I had bought. Inside, my heart was shaking with fear, but my crying only became more miserable. Willow, do you know something? After breaking up with you, the only way I could numb myself was through shopping. Even then, I couldn't heal the pain you left behind. Sure, I received cold, lifeless money, but what I lost was you, warm and real. If I had a choice, I'd rather have you than the money. Willow raised an eyebrow and looked at me with obvious sarcasm. So you don't want the 10 million, you just want me? I nodded frantically, lifting my tear-filled eyes, my expression sincere and full of expectation. Willow stared at me seriously for a long time before finally speaking. Fine, then return the 10 million. Damn it. Of course it would be like this. One sentence and my entire world collapsed. I had thought I would soon leave this world anyway, so that money had already been spent. Just this morning, when I passed the entrance of the neighborhood, I even casually gave 100,000 to a beggar. Where the hell was I supposed to find 10 million now? The luxury apartment was expensive. Sure, but I was renting it. Seeing me stay silent for so long, Willow said impatiently. What? You can't come up with the money? This apartment alone is worth at least 8 million. Sell it and pay me back. I'll let the remaining 2 million go. How generous of you. Thank you so much. Left with no other choice, I forced a flattering smile and said, Sister Willow, I'd love to sell it, but they won't let me. Willow's brows shot up. Stop making excuses. Who won't let you? The landlord. That single sentence left Willow speechless. After a long moment, she threw down her ultimatum. If you can't pay it back, then we get back together. After saying that, she turned and left with the bodyguards. Only long after Willow had gone did I finally come back to my senses. Wait, what did she mean? The dog system had somehow returned at some point and was wagging its tail while giving me a thumbs up. Host. Impressive. Even someone as proud as Willow agreed to get back together with you after being tricked like that. My grin stretched so wide it looked like an abyss. I quickly jumped up from the floor, immediately switching back into professional simp mode. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands and sent Willow a message. Wife, I'm not dreaming, right? You actually agreed to get back together with me. Willow replied almost instantly. George, stop flattering yourself. When did I say we're getting back together? I'm just giving you another chance to pursue me. Pursue her again. Truly the most ruthless kind of woman. Did I really have to repeat all those shameless simp behaviors all over again? Just thinking about it made me feel exhausted. Chapter 6. The next day, I returned to my miserable life of being Willow's professional simp. But there was one comforting thing. After the way I had devoted myself before, I had already built up plenty of experience. This time, being a simp came naturally. No more rookie mistakes like the first time. For example, buying breakfast for Willow only to find out she was allergic to it, or cooking soup for her by hand while she was sick, only to discover the mushrooms were poisonous and nearly send her straight to the afterlife. Or the day she was discharged from the hospital. I helped her down the stairs, but halfway through I sneezed, accidentally let go of her, and she ended up spending another month in the orthopedic department. I still remember when she had just finished having her stomach pumped after drinking my mushroom soup. She lay weakly on the hospital bed, pale-faced, frowning slightly as she asked me slowly, "George, are you trying to pursue me, or kill me, or is it because I didn't accept your confession, so you decided to finish me off?" I lowered my head and didn't dare say a single word. Back then, Maria always said that if this continued, Willow would eventually fall because of me, and she meant that literally. At 6 in the morning, with huge dark circles under my eyes, I carried Willow's favorite breakfast and knocked on the door of her house. Back then, to make myself look pitiful and gain her sympathy so she'd agree to date me, I would always wake up before dawn to buy breakfast and deliver it to her door. When Willow opened the door and saw it was me, her face instantly darkened. "George, coming this early, are you here to sleep?" My face turned red immediately. I smiled shyly. "Oh, stop. That's the final goal. Why would you say it out loud? For now, I just want to be the first person you see when you wake up." Willow looked at my overly dramatic, delicate act and nearly threw up. I imagined she must have been cursing herself internally. Why did I agree to go through this disgusting scenario again? Willow slammed the door angrily and walked back inside, leaving me standing outside in the wind looking like a mess. But I didn't give up. Sure enough, after a while, Willow's muffled voice came through the smart lock's microphone. "Just enter the password and come in." I froze in confusion. How was I supposed to know the password? After thinking for a while, I entered Willow's birthday. Incorrect. Willow's impatient voice sounded again. "Your birthday." This time I was completely stunned. Inside the living room, Willow sat lazily on the sofa because she was still sleepy. The corners of her eyes were slightly red. The moment I entered, I immediately put on a tearful expression and said softly, "Wife, waking up this early must be really hard for you." Willow glared at me angrily. "Who do you think woke me up this early?" I had no answer. Looking at the pan-fried buns I handed her, Willow snorted. "My taste has already changed. Now I like shrimp dumplings from South City." "All right, you're the CEO. Whatever you say is correct." I took out my phone and was about to place an order, but Willow asked impatiently, "Are you pursuing me, or is the delivery guy pursuing me?" All right, I'll go buy it myself." "Okay." After panting all the way back with crystal shrimp dumplings, I carefully arranged them on the dining table, pulled out a chair, and forced a smile. "Wife, come eat while it's still hot." You have no idea, I was pedaling like crazy. The shared bike almost fell apart from how hard I rode it. Willow picked up a dumpling with clear disgust. "The skin is all stuck together. How am I supposed to eat this?" "Damn it, I had just biked 20 kilometers back and forth, and you're complaining that the dumpling skin stuck together? What? Does your family steam dumplings one by one separately?" She was clearly doing this on purpose. My lips trembled with anger. I almost wanted to wrap this woman up like a dumpling and eat her. But when you're under the control of the system, sometimes you just have to bow your head. Chapter 7. Suppressing my frustration, I grabbed her arm and shook it gently. "Wife, what do you want to eat? I'll cook it for you." "Okay." So that evening, I cooked kung pao chicken, sweet and sour ribs, mapo tofu, a total of 18 dishes. All of them were things she had ordered. After serving her dinner, I even thoughtfully helped clean up her room. With someone as hardworking and attentive as me, even a heart of stone should melt at least a little, right? I rubbed my hands together and asked sweetly, "So wife, how was it today? Did your husband provide good service?" Instead of praise, she looked at me sideways. "Now that the work is done, you can leave. Or were you planning to stay the night too?" Although I was annoyed, I noticed a faint curve at the corner of her tightly pressed lips. This wicked woman was clearly messing with me, mocking me and laughing at me. "Fine, I'll leave. Even a simp has some dignity. Some people are loved, some people are spoiled, and me? I'm like a stray dog by the roadside, kicked again and again." By the time I left the villa, it was already dark. Looking at the little stone lion statue by the gate, the more I looked at it, the more irritated I felt. I kicked it while cursing. "Willow, I greet your ancestors for 8 generations. If it weren't for returning to my original world, who would willingly serve you like a dog?" For some reason, I suddenly felt like someone was watching me from behind. I abruptly turned around. The lights on the second floor of the villa were on, but there was no one standing by the window. Then again, that woman Willow was probably happily lying in bed catching up on sleep right now. Why would she be standing on the balcony watching me leave? After such an exhausting day, I dragged my tired body back to my luxury apartment. Before going to bed, I gritted my teeth and sent Willow a message. "Another day of loving my wife. Good night." Wife, love you. Then I angrily threw my phone aside and fell asleep. The next morning, before 6 o'clock, my alarm rang and dragged me out of bed. I got on my bicycle and set off again. To make myself look pitiful, I had even cancelled the rental on my sports car. Friends, have you ever risked your life for someone? I've never worked this hard even when earning money at my job. Willow was wearing a pink silk nightgown. She looked restrained and cold as always, but the way she looked at me seemed slightly different from usual. She even greeted me first. Little Simp is here again. I forced a bright smile. Another wonderful day being with my wife. She glanced at me faintly, her expression unreadable. For the following days, she calmly enjoyed my service, fully embracing her spoiled rich lady attitude. The strange thing was that her mood swings became more frequent. The gentler I behaved, the more irritable she became. The more sweet words I used to coax her, the more she sneered in disdain. I couldn't understand it. Didn't she used to love this kind of treatment? What was wrong with her lately? I grabbed her arm and called out again and again, my voice sounding like a desperate, heart-wrenching cry. Honey, pay a little attention to me. Don't shout nonsense. Her voice was a little hoarse as she walked to the balcony in a gloomy mood. A few days later, Willow suddenly asked me to accompany her to a banquet as her male companion. It seemed that tormenting me in private wasn't enough. Now she planned to execute me publicly. Fair enough. After all, I had made her lose face in front of so many people. She definitely wanted to regain her dignity. Night had fallen. The city lights had just come on, and the banquet hall was filled with prominent figures. Among the crowd, Makoto held a wine glass, smoothly socializing with everyone. When his gaze landed on Willow, the smile on his face was almost impossible to suppress. But the moment he saw me standing beside Willow, his eyes instantly ignited with furious flames. Men, how did you get in here? Who allowed you to come in? You loser. You simp. Makoto's expression twisted with fury as he screamed and rushed over, startling me so badly that a mouthful of cake got stuck in my throat, nearly choking me to death. You little brat. Trying to kill your grandpa. Ah. I patted my chest. After finally catching my breath, I leaned toward his ear with a smile and whispered, I'll tell you a secret, don't tell anyone. Willow and I got back together. She loves me even more than before. Makoto couldn't believe it. His face turned deathly pale as he completely lost control. You simp. You toyed with her and scammed her money. I won't allow you two to get back together. Get out. His shouting made my ears ring painfully. Annoyed, I picked my ear and then picked up another plate of mousse cake, leisurely eating it. You've offered your precious opinion, and all I want to say is, no. Me standing here is my middle finger to you and the whole world. Makoto's chest rose and fell violently. He was so angry he almost fainted. Just as he was about to attack me, he suddenly changed his expression and pleaded with me. Please stop scolding me. I was just joking with you. I snorted lightly. Your joke isn't even as funny as your face. Chapter 8. A soft laugh sounded beside my ear. At some point Willow had already walked up behind us. Makoto's eyes filled with tears as he pointed at me and complained pitifully. Willow, this badman snuck in here and even insulted me. Willow's cool gaze swept over me. With a faint smile that wasn't quite a smile, she asked, so? Back together. I love you so much. She was angry, I could feel it. Was it because Makoto misunderstood something? Probably. I steadied my voice and forced a smile, shaking my head. No, no, no. I'm the one who loves you too much. When I'm apart from you, I'm like a fish out of water, like a dying donkey. Everything I wrote on Instagram was deliberate. It was all just to catch my wife's attention again. Just a carefully planned tactic of playing hard to get. I deliberately placed myself in the position of a one-sided simp, loudly saying those words in front of everyone to give Makoto face. Sure enough, Willow's expression improved after hearing that, and my heart sank. The reason I had succeeded in conquering her before was probably because Makoto wasn't around. She was just playing around. Now it would probably be much harder. Just thinking about it made me depressed. Makoto suddenly spoke in confusion. Why are you wearing a blue necklace today? Willow. Don't you hate blue the most? Maybe it was my imagination, but Willow's expression seemed slightly unnatural. She turned her face away, her lips pressed tight. Something I liked yesterday doesn't mean I'll like it today, and something I hated yesterday, I might like today. I blinked in confusion. Why did that sentence sound so complicated? Makoto's face, however, instantly lost all color. The tears in his eyes became real. Willow. I knew you were still angry about how I left without saying goodbye back then. Seeing that Willow still looked cold and made no move to comfort him despite his tears, Makoto couldn't endure her indifference anymore and ran away crying. I almost burst out laughing. That guy was even more dramatic than me. I only pretended to act delicate. He was genuinely like that. I thought Willow would chase after him, but instead she simply looked at me with dark eyes. George, you sure have a sharp tongue. That sentence left me completely confused. Wasn't she the one who made him leave? How did this somehow become my fault? After the banquet ended, the ride back was silent. Inside the car, Willow stared out the window without saying a word. I was just about to crack a teasing joke when my eyes suddenly fell on the necklace around her neck. Earlier I had been too busy arguing with Makoto to notice carefully. Wasn't that the necklace I gave her? Bought from a street stall, 1999, and the vendor even threw in a free ring. The whole ride passed in silence. When we arrived at my place, Willow coughed lightly and suddenly said, "Blue actually looks pretty good, don't you think?" I choked slightly, caught off guard, but still nodded casually. Yeah, whatever my wife says is right." Willow's face tightened as she stared at me for quite a while. Then she tugged the corner of her lips and kicked me out of the car. Suddenly I felt irritated. I knew Willow liked Makoto the moment he returned. She had wanted to break up with me. Bringing me to the banquet was probably just to make Makoto jealous. My argument with Makoto simply helped her save face. I understood all of that, but for some reason, it still annoyed me. I muttered under my breath, "Can't I just switch to another conquest target?" The moment the words left my mouth, the dog system, silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. "You want to switch targets? That's actually possible. The previous mission submission failing was indeed my fault. I can help you submit a request. Usually it gets approved." That damn dog system, if switching targets was possible, why didn't it say so earlier? I was so happy I almost cried. Finally, I could get rid of that iceberg of a woman. In my excitement, I couldn't resist posting on Instagram again. Haha, what a joke. Only an idiot would get back together. I'm done serving her. 2 minutes later, a new comment appeared underneath, a black profile picture. The reply was short. My heart instantly turned cold. Sure enough, my phone immediately rang. Willow's icy voice came through the phone. "George, right now, immediately, get over here." I replied coldly. "Don't talk to me in that tone. Willow, the reason I'm not coming over right now is for your safety. If I go there, I'm afraid I might not be able to stop myself from smashing your head open." Chapter 9. I arrogantly hung up the phone and immediately turned it off, preparing to run away overnight. 5 minutes later, however, the system came back looking completely dejected. The moment I saw its miserable face, my heart sank. What happened? The dog system clearly lacked confidence. It stammered for a long time before finally squeezing out a few words. "Well, I don't know what's wrong with the main system. This time it says the conquest target can't be changed. Damn it." I couldn't hold it in anymore and cursed that stupid dog system for a full 10 minutes. The shameless thing didn't even look embarrassed. Instead, it tried to comfort me. "George, if it really comes down to it, you could just sacrifice a little and trick her into marriage. That's pure evil. Spending a lifetime with Willow, I'd rather die." With a pale face, drowning in overwhelming despair, I tremblingly turned my phone back on. There were countless missed calls. I wiped the cold sweat from my forehead and called back, my voice immediately turning flattering. "Willow baby, what are you doing? Are you busy? I can come over right now if you want." The woman on the other end let out a cold laugh. "Come over for what? To smash my head open?" By the time I arrived at Willow's house, it was already midnight. She was sitting in the dark living room without the lights on. Her cold eyes glimmered sharply in the darkness. It was terrifying. On the coffee table sat a nearly empty bottle of wine. "You really want to break up with me that badly?" Willow's voice carried no clear emotion. I suspected she must have argued with Makoto and was just taking her anger out on me. My eyes rolled slightly. Didn't that mean I had a chance to take advantage of the situation? My eyes instantly lit up, and I flashed what I thought was a charming smile. "How could that be? I just felt uncomfortable seeing you and Makoto being so close. You have no idea how jealous I was." I completely lost my head and started talking nonsense. Willow remained silent. My heart started pounding nervously. Just as I was about to say something else, a soft weight suddenly pressed into my chest. Willow stepped into my arms and hugged me tightly. Moonlight streamed through the window into the dark room, making Willow look breathtakingly beautiful. Our sudden closeness brought her warm breath brushing against my neck. "Then prove it to me," she murmured. "Show me how much you love me." That sentence nearly short-circuited my brain. Damn it, was this Ice Queen seriously asking me to kiss her? Normally she wouldn't even let me hold her hand. Was she skipping straight to the final step today? Or was I misunderstanding her? I cautiously leaned toward her lips, my body stiff, fully prepared to be slapped. Unexpectedly, Willow lost patience first. She wrapped her arms around my neck and practically hung onto me. "What are you hesitating for? If you want to kiss me, then kiss me." At that moment I almost wanted to accuse her of slander. When did I say I wanted to kiss her? She was the one who suggested it. But looking at Willow's plump lips, soft like jelly, all right, I did kind of want to kiss them. Bracing myself, I quickly touched her lips and immediately pulled away. Willow clearly wasn't satisfied. "That's it. That's how much you love me. Damn it, are you getting addicted to this or what?" As the woman's gaze slowly grew sharper and clearer, Panic crept into my heart. Instinctively, I covered my mouth. Willow, let me tell you, deep kissing costs extra. What extra price? Willow teased with a smile. If I can afford the price of getting back together, do you think I'd care about that? Honestly, I felt a little humiliated. I'm a grown man. Yet she was teasing me like this. Just as I gathered the courage to move closer again, Willow suddenly released her arms. All right. I felt a little disappointed, but then she said, fine, George, I'll believe you one last time. I hope what you call true love is actually real. As she spoke, Willow's fingertip traced teasingly across my lips. Her usually cold eyes were now filled with swirling emotions. I was terrified. My whole body felt like it was about to explode. My heart pounded wildly, and I knew my face must have turned completely red. There wasn't much conversation that night. At first we didn't have time to talk. Later, we simply didn't have the strength. From the next day onward, Willow seemed to lose her mind. She even insisted on bringing me with her to work, like some kind of accessory. I followed her to the company every day, watching her handle business matters. I was bored to death and finally protested that I wanted to go out for a walk. Willow didn't even look up. She casually tossed a Chinese dictionary at me and said coldly, memorize it. I rolled my eyes. You're even more bored than I am. Willow raised her head and shot me a fierce glare. Chapter 10. A few days later, after memorizing the dictionary non-stop, my eyes had gone dull and my mind felt completely blank. How far have you gotten? After finishing her work, Willow slowly walked over to me. Struggling to keep my heavy eyelids open, I replied impatiently, halfway through the letter A. Too slow. By tomorrow you must reach C. I was just about to explode when Willow rubbed her temples and said, forget it. Stop memorizing for now. Then she pulled me up from the sofa. She looked very elegant today, wearing a big tiramisu-style dress. The system reminded me, George, that's called bohemian style. Tiramisu is a cake. On her upper body she wore a white shirt, with a long black overcoat that fell past her knees. A pair of gold-rimmed glasses rested on her straight, well-defined nose, making her look both pure and alluring. I secretly gritted my teeth and deliberately stepped forward to wrap an arm around her waist, lowering my head as if to kiss her. Wife looks so beautiful today. Come on, let your husband kiss you. Honestly, I was just trying to disgust her on purpose. After all, this was her CEO office, broad daylight and all. Unexpectedly, Willow laughed softly and leaned directly into my arms, tilting her head up with pursed lips. Go ahead, kiss me. That left me completely stunned. That might not be appropriate, I said awkwardly, trying to decline. Footsteps from secretaries walking up and down the hallway outside echoed into the CEO's office. Willow pulled me toward the desk. She sat on the edge of the desk while her hand gently stroked my chest. Even through my clothes, the warmth of her palm made my body tremble. It may not be appropriate, she said teasingly, but you were the one being so enthusiastic, so eager to seduce me. Her eyes were full of amusement. Who exactly was being enthusiastic here? Who was seducing whom? I gritted my teeth. Fine, let's go for it. At worst she'd just find an excuse to beat me up. Just as I was about to lean in, the secretary knocked on the door and said the scheduled client had arrived. Willow sighed softly, leaned forward to kiss my chin, and let me go. Go entertain yourself. When I finish work, I'll take you out for something delicious. Watching the door slowly close, I became furious. Listen to what she said. What does go entertain yourself even mean? Entertain myself with what? Myself? This woman didn't just look improper. She actually was improper. You're pathetic. The dog system suddenly appeared and said with disdain, just kissing a woman made your face turn red all the way to your heels. Where's that bold attitude you had when you were yelling at me? You stupid dog system. Why are you staring at my heels? If you've got time to watch the drama, why don't you fix the terrible network of yours that keeps disconnecting? My face was still burning hot. Embarrassed and annoyed, I felt extremely irritated. The system lowered its head after being scolded. Luckily it was clever enough to quickly change the subject. Host, I think Willow is being a little too nice to you lately. What if she's starting to take this seriously? What if you can't break up even if you want to? I shook my head helplessly. Did you forget she still has a man she can't have but still loves? The system fell silent. I patted its dog head. Forget it. As long as we survive these 3 weeks, we're good. But when I said that, a strange bitterness rose in my chest. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Without waiting for Willow, that troublesome woman, I left on my own. Chapter 11. After returning home, I was ready to go crazy on Instagram and vent a little. But I wasn't stupid this time. I registered a brand new alternate account so Willow wouldn't catch me again. Your handsome guy here is under a lot of mental stress. Any beautiful ladies willing to arrange something? Cruising and drinking are both fine. Cheap price. Excellent service. Not long after, a beautiful profile picture replied to me. It was also a newly registered account. Nice. Just as cautious as me. After thinking for a moment, I still sent Willow a message. Wife, I've got something tonight. I won't be coming back. Willow didn't reply at all. Late at night, I escaped Willow's villa and ran faster than a dog. Panting heavily, I reached the street corner where I had arranged to meet the girl. To my surprise, she was already there. A black Ducati motorcycle stood by the roadside. A person leaned lazily against the bike with their back facing me. Curves in all the right places. Long legs for days. I got excited and waved. Hey, beautiful. You're right on time. I'm here. Nice bike. She snorted softly and turned her head with a half smile. The moment I saw her face, all my excitement vanished. It was like seeing a ghost. I stepped back quickly. Willow, why is it you? Why can't it be me? Willow asked coldly. I lowered my head in humiliation, not daring to look at her. Going out to have fun, and ending up meeting your own girlfriend. What's the solution to this? Urgent. Waiting online for advice. Willow walked toward me. You wanted to see beautiful women. Go cruising. Drink a little. Feeling mentally stressed. Great service too. Why don't you serve me for a change? I immediately turned and ran. Well, suddenly I'm feeling sleepy. I'm going home to sleep. No need to send me. Willow stopped smiling and reached out, grabbing my wrist firmly. George, remember this, you're a man with a girlfriend. Maybe it was the cold night wind, but hearing that made me shiver. I felt strangely wronged. She clearly had her own dream man in her heart, yet she expected absolute loyalty from me. What kind of logic was that? With a stiff face, I started walking back home when Willow called out to me. Get on. Still irritated, I spoke without thinking. It's only 2 steps to my house. I'm not some delicate prince who needs a ride. Willow glanced at me sideways. Didn't you say you wanted to go cruising and look at the moon? Changed your mind? In the end, I obediently got on the bike. I couldn't help muttering under my breath. The main course is gone, but I guess a little dessert is fine. Willow's voice, grinding with anger, sounded beside my ear. George, do you want to die? I quickly wrapped my arms around her waist. Sister Willow's waist is so soft. I like it a lot. Willow snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. The night wind carried a slight chill as Willow sped down the mountain road with me riding behind her. She rode fast but steady. Honestly, it was thrilling. Her voice drifted away in the wind. Is the moon beautiful tonight? I looked up at the sky, under the bright moon hanging high above. I held her slender waist tightly and laughed freely. Time passed quickly. There was only 1 day left before the 3 weeks were up. The mission was almost complete. During this time, Willow had been very good to me. The way she looked at me was intense and focused. Her kisses were always sincere, burning and passionate. Our lips and teeth entangled until my kisses left her eyes moist and her whole body soft. Only then would she release me, breathing heavily. After every passionate moment, she would gently stroke my chest and softly ask, George, you can't leave me anymore, can you? I'm yours now. You'll take responsibility for me, right? Sometimes, in a daze, I felt like she might actually have fallen in love with me, until the moment Willow told me she wanted me to accompany her to Makoto's birthday party today. That was when I suddenly snapped back to reality. Chapter 12. Today was Makoto's birthday. Bringing me along was nothing more than another move in their little rivalry. Thinking about it, I slapped my own face lightly. That was close. I almost lost my senses and thought she had actually fallen in love with me. On the way there, I stared out the window without saying anything. My acting skills had always been good, but today, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't put on a happy expression. Willow gently tugged at my hand. I know you don't like Makoto, but our families have known each other for generations. We still have to give his family some face. If you really feel uncomfortable later, you can just stay for a while and leave. Heh, if I leave, it'll just make it easier for you and Makoto to flirt. Right? Damn woman. Whatever. It was the last day anyway. Once today passed, everything would be over. When Makoto saw Willow arrive, his eyes instantly lit up. He deliberately ignored me and walked straight to Willow. Willow, you're here. How long are you going to keep pretending with this guy just to make me jealous? Fine. I admit defeat. I'll apologize. Alright, it's my birthday today. I don't want to see this guy here. Make him leave. Before we came in, Willow had specifically told me not to argue with Makoto, so I simply treated him like a wild boar spewing nonsense and watched him with interest. But unexpectedly, Willow's expression suddenly changed. Her normally calm and indifferent face revealed a trace of cold cruelty. Alright, their game was about to begin. Those old melodramatic love stories always followed this kind of script. As the vicious supporting male character, who exists to deepen the male lead's misunderstanding, I naturally knew my place. Holding a glass of wine, I walked to a quiet corner and looked toward Willow in the center of the hall. She was cold and distant. Makoto was handsome and lively. Standing together, they looked strangely well matched. I didn't want to watch anymore, so I turned and left. I walked to a deserted balcony and began thinking about what I would do after returning to my original world. Not long after, Someone suddenly walked up behind me. Before I could turn around, that person wrapped their arms around me. Willow's lips brushed against my ear as she whispered softly, "What are you thinking about?" I knew how this worked. Emotional reassurance had to be provided. On the moonlit balcony, I stood there silently while Willow held me tightly. Her soft kisses fell on my earlobe, her warm breath brushing against my skin. I clenched my teeth and stayed quiet, but she seemed to get addicted to kissing me and didn't stop for a long time. Finally, I couldn't help saying, "There are so many people here. Someone might see us. Let's go home and talk." Willow paused. She kissed my neck once before letting go. When I turned around, she looked up at me and asked, "George, which home? Are you planning to break up with me?" Her question stunned me. A chill slowly spread through my body. Had I revealed something? Looking at her, I pulled her firmly into my arms in a possessive, intimate gesture. "What nonsense are you talking about? We're doing just fine. Why would we break up?" I had to stay steady. There were only 4 hours left. Once those passed, my mission would be complete. Willow's eyes darkened as she suppressed her emotions. Under the cold moonlight, her face looked even paler. She was hurting, disappointed. After a long silence, her voice carried a trace of indescribable sadness. "If tomorrow we're still together, remember to tell me. I'll give you the choice." Suddenly, I remembered something. That day when Willow had taken me riding and brought me home afterward. She had been smiling brightly 1 second. Then suddenly she stopped smiling and said to me seriously, "George, if there's something you need to tell me, I'll accept it, but please don't disappear without warning. That wouldn't be fair to me." Chapter 13. I widened my eyes and stared at Willow in disbelief. Inside my mind, I frantically called out to the system. "System, what do we do? Willow seems to know about the conquest mission." The system looked at me cautiously. Seeing that expression made my heart sink. This stupid dog system wasn't about to screw me over again, was it? When it noticed me staring at it, it stammered. "So, my guess was right. Willow knows that this world has conquerors. Some systems are too low level. When they lock onto Willow as a target, she can actually sense their presence." At that moment, everything suddenly made sense. She had known my identity as a conqueror from the very beginning, but she had been moved by the persona of a devoted simp that I played. So she softened and helped me complete the mission. What she didn't expect was that my simp persona would collapse. And that was all because of that idiot Makoto. But that wasn't even the worst part. The most fatal problem was that the system had messed up when submitting the mission. Now I understood everything. Holding onto my last bit of hope, I looked at Willow and finally gave my answer. "Let's break up tomorrow, okay?" I spoke softly, almost pleading. After tomorrow, she could openly pursue the men she truly loved. I would return to my world. She and I would go back to our own lives. And we would never see each other again. The color slowly drained from Willow's face. After a long pause, she let out a quiet, bitter laugh. "So in the end, you're still leaving, all along." I was the only one who took this seriously. Hearing that made anger flare up in my chest. "Can you stop pretending to be so devoted? If I don't leave, how will you make room for your Makoto?" Willow looked up at me, confusion written all over her face. "Make room? I have nothing to do with him. We only interact because our families have known each other for generations." I didn't believe her. When Makoto returned to the country, she hosted a welcome party for him. Whenever he insulted me, she defended him. Willow walked over and grabbed my hand. I tried to pull away, but she held on even tighter. Her expression stubborn. "I'll give you one more chance. Answer again. For me, would you stay?" Slowly, I pried her fingers away one by one. "Willow, I do like you, but I can't only like you. I have family who love me, friends who matter to me, and a career I'm passionate about. Willow, I can't stay in this world and love you all alone." Hearing those words, Willow's face turned pale. It seemed she had already expected this outcome. She gave a miserable smile. "All right, George, I promise you, tomorrow, we break up." Early the next morning, my body began to blur. Little by little, I started disappearing in front of Willow. At first, her expression was lifeless, but when she saw my body becoming transparent, panic appeared on her face. Then it turned into desperation. She tried frantically to hold onto me, shouting hoarsely, "George, I regret it. Remember this, don't let me catch you again. Next time, I won't let you go." Tears shimmered in my eyes. "Willow, thank you for letting me go." When I returned to my original world, the dog system was gone. Willow was gone too. After dying from overwork in my previous life as a corporate workhorse, I had learned something important. Don't work yourself to death. Learn to take it easy sometimes. Now I cherish the time I spend with my family and friends. A year passed, and life became calm and happy. Yet whenever I was alone, gazing at the moon in the sky, I would always unconsciously think about that night when Willow took me for a ride. The mountain wind, the cold moon, the stars in the sky, and the cicadas chirping by the roadside. My family and friends also noticed that something was different about me, and they began enthusiastically introducing blind dates to me. I rejected them all, until the day my mother tricked me into going to a restaurant. I listened as my mom kept whispering in my ear about how outstanding this girl was, born into a scholarly family and having just returned from studying abroad. I hung my head in frustration, thinking that no matter how excellent she was, I didn't want her. I had my Willow. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded beside my ear. "Sorry, I'm late." I looked up blankly at that familiar face, staring at the woman before me in disbelief. My mother beamed with joy, saying she had something to do and that we young people should chat. Then she left. Willow ignored me, sat down across from me, picked up a glass of water, and drank slowly and calmly. I stared at her like an idiot. She curled her lips in disdain. "Didn't I tell you before? Don't let me catch you. Why don't you ever learn your lesson?" I opened my mouth, originally wanting to ask how she had come here. My eyes grew hot. I reached out and carefully held her small hand, afraid that this might be a dream. Feeling the warmth of her hand, I smiled at her and said, "Even if I die this time, I won't let go." Chapter 14, Willow's Perspective. Willow hadn't originally intended to help George complete his mission. It was too troublesome, and she hated trouble. But during the months when George relentlessly pursued her, he had exhausted her so much that she lost 10 pounds. She figured that if she still didn't agree to date him, she might actually die from the harassment. And she also felt a little sorry for this small simp who was trying so hard to conquer her. That day, Willow sat in her study working, yet her gaze kept drifting through the glass window toward the road that led to her villa. Her phone rang. It was a message from George. "Good morning, wife. I'm on the way to bring you breakfast." Willow held her stomach, which was cramping with hunger from waiting for him. She looked at the sun hanging low in the western sky and fell silent. Shouldn't he be saying good evening instead? Finally, she sighed helplessly, set the phone down, and rubbed her temples. Just before night completely fell, George finally appeared in her line of sight. He was wearing a huge bear-style hat, pedaling a bicycle with a food box hanging from the handlebars. Watching him wobble awkwardly as he rode, Willow suddenly thought he looked kind of cute. The corner of her lips curved slightly, softening without her realizing it. But then, the hat was so big that when George stood up to pedal harder, it slipped down and covered his eyes. He rode straight into a tree, the food box scattered everywhere. George sat on the ground holding his head, his eyes red with grievance. Willow panicked. She threw down her pen and stood up, ready to rush downstairs. But just as she stood, George suddenly jumped up with a loud shout. He lifted the bicycle and started smashing it against the tree. Bang, bang, bang. The dry winter leaves fell from the branches in a shower. Only after the bicycle completely fell apart did he finally calm down. Then he picked up the food box, ignoring the scattered parts of the broken bike, its wheel still spinning. Limping slightly, he walked toward the gate and called gently from outside. "Wife, I'm here to bring you breakfast and dinner." At that moment, Willow truly believed George must like her very much. He had suffered so much for her, so she agreed to his confession. Her plan was simple. 3 weeks. Once the 3 weeks passed and the mission was complete, he could go home. She even avoided being too kind to George, afraid that he might fall deeper and refuse to leave. She had seen such cases before. They were extremely troublesome. But clearly, she had overestimated herself. When the Instagram posts were exposed, the culprit had already run away. Silence filled the room. Now she was the one too angry to speak. So from beginning to end, he had just been acting. He had never truly cared about her. She gave a cold laugh. Her anger carried a strange mixture of irritation and disappointment. She thought she would definitely teach that mouth of his a proper lesson. Yet that night at the banquet, when she heard his affectionate sweet words, even though she knew not a single word from his mouth could be trusted, she still couldn't stop the small flicker of happiness in her heart. Willow was startled by her own reaction. It wasn't until George said he was leaving that she finally admitted the truth. The one who had fallen first was her. The one who couldn't let go was also her. At that moment, a selfish thought arose in her heart. She wanted George to keep liking her, to fall in love with her, to love her so much that he would be willing to stay in this world for her. Sometimes she felt like George really had started to like her. Every time she kissed him, he never resisted. He even became jealous because of her. Who said a little liar could never tell the truth? She waited. She knew George was waiting too, but what she waited for was abandonment. And what George waited for was going home. His choice didn't even hesitate. After he left, Willow first tried her best to pretend it didn't matter. Then she began to feel a little lonely. Later, life started to feel unbearably dull. Eventually, she found the system and asked if she could go to George's world under another identity. The system said it was possible, but she would have to exchange the fortune and lifespan of her world. Willow didn't hesitate for even a moment, and so she gave up everything, arriving alone in another world. Then she pretended to be indifferent and said, "Didn't I tell you not to let me catch you again?" Only she knew, at the moment she found George again, how relieved she felt, how excited she was, how unbelievably happy.